The first time I saw Effiong, the village kids were laughing at him. His legs were too weak to hold him up, and while the other children ran around in the midday sun, Effiong used his hands to drag himself across the dusty ground. That day, the teasing was especially cruel. "Look at you, Effiong! You can't even walk like the rest of us!" the boys shouted. They ran off, leaving Effiong sitting in the dirt, alone and covered in dust. But instead of getting angry, he just smiled. He wiped away his tears like he had done many times before. Effiong was born in the small village of Ikana, just like any other child. His mother, Mama Eno, loved him dearly, and he was always a happy baby. But by the time he should have been walking, it became clear that something was wrong. His legs never grew strong enough for him to stand. People in the village whispered about him. "How will he ever live a normal life?" they said. "Will he ever be able to walk?" But no matter how much people talked about him, Effiong never let it bring him down. He always smiled, always helped when someone was in need, even though he couldn't walk like the other kids. One day, I remember watching Effiong help an old blind man who had lost his way near the edge of the village. The man was calling out for help, but none of the other kids paid him any attention. They just laughed and kept running, but not Effiong. Even though he had to crawl through the dirt, he didn't hesitate. He took the blind man's hand and led him safely back to the village. When the man realized Effiong couldn't walk, he was amazed. "Why did you help me?" he asked, his voice trembling with surprise. Effiong smiled and said, "Everyone needs a little help sometimes." As the years passed, Effiong's legs never got better. He grew older, but he still couldn't stand. He continued to crawl through the village, offering help to anyone who needed it. He was kind to everyone, even to the people who teased him. Many of the adults admired him, but there were still those who thought Effiong would never amount to much. Then one day something strange happened that changed everything. Effiong was crawling back from the stream, dragging his water pot behind him. As he neared the village path, he saw an old woman struggling with a heavy pot of water. Her hair was grey, her back bent with age, and her face full of wrinkles. The villagers had always been wary of this old woman. She lived at the edge of the forest, far away from everyone else, and people whispered strange things about her. But Effiong, with his kind heart, wasn't afraid. He crawled over to the woman and smiled up at her. "Let me help you carry your pot," he offered. The old woman looked down at him, surprised. She had been watching Effiong for years, quietly observing how the villagers treated him, how they laughed at him. But she had seen something no one else had, his kind heart. "You have a good heart, Effiong," the old woman said in a voice that sounded like wind rustling through leaves. She handed him the pot, and Effiong, using all his strength, helped carry it as they made their way toward her small hut, which was hidden deep in the forest. It was a long journey, and Effiong was tired, but he never complained. He didn't stop until they reached the old woman's home. When they arrived, the old woman smiled at him again, her eyes full of mystery. "I have something to show you, Effiong," she said. Effiong was curious, so he followed the old woman as she led him deeper into the forest. The trees grew taller, the air heavier, and the night began to fall around them. It felt as though the forest was alive, whispering secrets only Effiong and the old woman could hear. That night, Effiong didn't come home. His family became worried, and the whole village began to search for him. "Where is Effiong?" people asked. "We saw him with the old woman earlier. Could she have taken him into the forest?" Rumors began to spread. "Maybe she's put a spell on him," they whispered, but no one could find him. The next morning, just as the sun rose, Effiong appeared at the edge of the village. His parents ran to him full of relief, but they stopped when they saw something they couldn't believe. Effiong wasn't crawling anymore. He was standing tall, walking as though he had never had trouble with his legs at all. "Effiong!" his mother cried, rushing to embrace him. "What happened? Where have you been?" Effiong's eyes were wide with wonder. "The old woman," he whispered. "She gave me something. She told me I can walk now, but that's not all. She gave me the power to heal." At first, the villagers were skeptical, but soon, people began to notice that Effiong was different. Those who were sick came to him, and with just a touch of his hands they were healed. Children with fevers, elders with aching bones, and even animals that were injured, all were made well again by Effiong. Word spread quickly, and soon people from other villages came seeking his help. But despite his new powers, Effiong remained the same humble boy he had always been. He never asked for money or gifts in exchange for his healing. He didn't want praise or attention. He just wanted to help people like he always had. The villagers tried to give him gifts, but Effiong remembered the words the old woman had whispered to him in the forest. Your powers will leave you if you ever change from the good person you are. Always remain kind, Effiong, and never let greed or pride take hold of your heart. And so, Effiong continued to live as he always had. He used his powers to heal the people of his village, and he never let his kindness fade. The village flourished because of him. The crops grew strong, the children were healthy, and the people lived in peace. As time went on, Effiong's story became a legend in Ikana. Parents told their children about the boy who couldn't walk, but found the strength to save his village. They spoke of his kindness, his humility, and how he had helped others, even when they laughed at him. Effiong became a symbol of goodness and strength, a reminder that true power comes from within. Morals of the story. True strength isn't measured by how fast you can run or how much you can carry. It's measured by the goodness of your heart. Effiong's kindness and humility gave him the power to walk and to heal others. He taught us all that when we help others without expecting anything in return, we can overcome any obstacle. And when we stay true to ourselves, even greater things can happen. Thanks for watching. Did you enjoy the video? Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more. Drop a comment and share your thoughts. See you next time.